Hi there everybody, my name is Kate and welcome to my channel Trinergy Awakens Naturally. I want to talk to you about becoming a spiritual MacGyver. If we are a spiritual MacGyver, we probably already know something about being a physical 3D reality MacGyver. We're a problem solver. We're the ones that can figure stuff out. And when we go into spiritual MacGyvering, that's how we move into those situations with fear, where we can mitigate some problems and possibly move forward in a more balanced and equal state of being so that we can accomplish whatever task it is that we've set before ourselves to accomplish. And fear will get in the way of doing that a lot. Fear for us, if we look at it slightly differently, if we look at fear rather than being a bad thing that we're constantly trying to run away from or not have or never experience, look at that as part of the X-Men packaging. It's part of our tools that Mother Nature gave us to know whether something is good or not good, something's dangerous or not dangerous, something's okay to proceed, something's not okay to proceed. That's what our fear response is about. It's that fight or flight. It's directly connected to that. Well, when we're spiritual MacGyvering, we can learn to feel those feelings of fear and work through, how might I get myself out of this feeling of fear or confusion or panic or whatever? How can I return back to that balanced state of being that I was in before I was completely knocked out of balance, and here I'm standing in some state of, ew, I don't like this. I've either seen this scenery before, I've seen this scene before and it didn't go well, I didn't like that the last time, or the time before that, or the time before that, or the time before that, ad nauseum, or I have not seen this before at all. It's strange and I don't get it. I don't know what it is and I'm afraid of it for that reason. Those are very good reasons to be afraid. We have previous experience with things that weird us out. And so we have set up the example for what to refer back to. That's what our mind does. It's an information gathering machine. All of our senses are gathering all of the information. Unfortunately though, if we don't have our spiritual MacGyver intact, we can lose the power of having all that information at our disposal. Is not so much just having it at our disposal, it's having it and using it to problem solve. How can I move out of this problem? How can I solve this equation? How can I bring harmony to this discord? How can I get that what's toning in my ear very unpleasantly, how can I get that to reach resolution? And when we are spiritual MacGyvers, we look around our scene and we start feeling and intuitively allowing ourselves to be brought back to that place of balance. What brings me there? What takes me to that place? And whatever it is, how do I stay there? And what's the course of action for how I navigate getting my physical self removed from here if necessary to maintain that balance, or to stay right here maintaining that balance? Whatever I'm called to do, the spiritual MacGyver in me would be the one that had the confidence and the ability to say, okay, I haven't seen this particular road. I haven't seen these particular steps. I haven't walked this particular path this particular way. I never have done that before. And even if I want to subscribe to another lifetime and all of that, I haven't done that this time. Okay? I'm just looking at it from the raw data of what I can grab a hold of and what I know in this lifetime. Because if we reach too far into our woo-woo bag, we can really weird ourselves out and have a hard time coming out of that spiritual stasis and spiritual amnesia and kind of that spiritual superiority sometimes that we can get into when we think that we're really spiritual MacGyvering, but we're really spiritually bypassing by wanting to overlook some things that, oh, well, I didn't navigate that before. It kind of scares me. However, I'm a spiritual warrior and I just feel this way about it, period. That's the way it is, and I'm going to go over here and feel that way about it. Instead of really, let's look at that, let's get jiggy with it, let's make peace with it, truly, eyeball to eyeball with it. That's how we gain those steps of confidence. That's how we gain that whole attaché of experience for how we navigate those situations going forward. We speak up. We hear in our ear what we know to say. We know what we need to do, and we do it because it's from that convicted place of spiritual oneness that doesn't have to MacGyver. The human has to MacGyver to figure out how they're going to express that in the most profound and delightful state of being that it can be expressed in. That's what we're all striving for. It's what we really are striving for. I know there's a lot of humans on the planet that don't look like they have any care, any concern whatsoever about that. However, we're all trying to reach that state of oneness, and we're all trying to reach that state of unification, that state of I am at home, and anything that is not that, I'm going to fight with it. I'm going to align with it. I'm going to do all kinds of things to try to bounce myself and ping off of that what I am based on what it is. I send out ping messages and ping against what's there in my environment, and that's how I learn. And if I'm, an A+ student, and I'm really wanting to be top of my class of me, and I want to be the greatest spiritual MacGyver, then I take those situations, the ouchy ones, the sad ones, the ones that cause a trigger, the ones that cause rage, the ones that cause me to need to move into that spiritual MacGyvering position. There's lots of steps in that MacGyvering process sometimes. There's a whole lot more than I was introduced to whenever I was given the steps for healing and awakening and spiritual unfoldment and unfolding. I was not given all the steps because I wasn't told, look, you can't bypass the ugly stuff. You can't get past figuring out how you're going to MacGyver spiritually just as much as you would figure out how to MacGyver your life in 3D. You have to be a problem solver. It is not Spirit's job to come and save those that are misunderstanding their own spiritual MacGyverness. It's me that would be lacking in understanding my ability to work myself out of any dark hole or any dark corner or any untoward event that I have attracted myself to. I heard a spiritual teacher say that one time many years ago, and she was absolutely right. If you attracted it to you, then detract it from you. Okay? If you brought it to you, then move it away from you. But we're not going to move into those steps of being that kind of a spiritual MacGyver if we aren't really noticing our environment, or we're not connecting with it in that way, or we're not really connecting with our own self to believe that I am my own sovereign energetic nation, and I have a responsibility to never feel depressed or sad or angry or out of balance. Well, that's not very realistic. It doesn't appear to be. It does not appear to be. However, if I'm going to declare my sovereignty as a spiritual creature, then I need to be that MacGyverin fool that's going to figure out every day how to make that a real thing, because that is the reality. When we're born, we're already born in that perfect state of awareness that's quickly shut down depending on how quickly we get that influence, how close it is to us, to that darker and very confused side of living, the unwoke or the unenlightened. It all sounds very cruel and mean and hateful, and there's a lot of very ugly stuff that's swirling around in all of that. However, the truth is that we are all truly seeking to find home, to find balance, and to find peace. That is what every single entity is after. That's the sovereignty that we know we have and that we are seeking to return ourselves to. That state of existence where I am truly a divine creature who is satisfied in all areas of my life, and therefore I wish for you what I have for me, and I know that you wish for me what you have for you. When we are there in that place, we will be more fully seated and rooted and anchored into the new earth understanding, the 5D, the ascended consciousness of the collective of humanity. We are not all in the same place at the same time with the same skills. There are some people who are better over here than over here. And so as we align ourselves, MacGyvering and moving into energetic areas that best support where we are in our journey, we're not all going to clump together in one spot on the earth. It's not practical. We don't have to. We can each take our own experience, our own treasure trove of all of the history that we have and all of the energetic karma, dharma, and baggage, all of it. Whether we perceive it as good or bad, we can use everything that's in that tool chest, and we're highly advised to use everything in that tool chest that gave us the information and the guidance for where we got today to make the decisions that we made today. How did we arrive at that decision making? How did we arrive there? That's part of the MacGyvering, is going back and looking and re-engineering, refiguring, rejiggering, retooling, and reschooling, and re-look at that. Let's look at it from over here and see from this perspective. It's going to show me an angle that I haven't seen before. I'm not talking about take, angular views of stuff that you've already seen it from that view. You just, we're going to see a more microscopic, narrow view. There isn't any need to do that. That's just plowing us into a similar direction, and it's not as beneficial because it's not actually freeing us from the thing that's capturing us and holding our attention there and stopping us from the flow to begin with. 11:22. So with that, I think that's probably enough for right now. That's a lot to embrace, that we really are called now and every day until the day we return to the primordial soup, whatever we choose to believe in, whatever story we believe in, until the day that we return to that, we are still of that. We are still that liquid, that plasma, that force, that energy, that material. We are still all of that. And the more that we can express that through our five senses and then our sixth sense of our intuition, the more we'll be able to guide and navigate and allow that gyroscope that knows very well. It already knows how to do the MacGyvering. It really does. It knows how to do that stuff very well. And it can guide and show us. It just might feel a little bit uncomfortable. It might feel a little bit weird. It might cause us to say things that we wouldn't normally say. Anything outside of the norm, anything outside of the ordinary, anything that stretches us past our boundaries is a good thing if we use it for a good. If we use it for our demise, then we'll be on the floor, embarrassed and ashamed and blah, 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 and our life is over when something terrible happens, correct? And that's going to be a matter of time before the next terrible thing happens again. So when we reach that point of there is nothing that is for me to be afraid of, there is nothing for me to fear, there is nothing except the oneness and the singularity of me and my spiritual MacGyvering to remember what is really true when I start to get weirded out and possibly distracted with the issues of the world or the issues of the people around me, or my car won't start, or whatever. The universe is always, 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 always using the information for our good. It's a matter of us picking it up and using it for our good. We don't have to. That's what free will allows us to do. It allows us to keep banging our head against that wall of acceptance that everything is not always rosy. Everything hasn't always been rosy, and it currently isn't rosy. The spiritual MacGyver, though, allows us to find the rosy existence in that regardless, because there is beauty and joy. There is balance, even in the chaos. The universe is a very orderly and meticulous system that is organized chaos. So if we can get our chaos better understood through our human understanding, using our intuition and our five senses to navigate our field of dreams, we have a much better chance of it being a field of dreams and not just a field of, ew, what is this? That I'm not claiming I created this. No way. Yeah, it becomes something that we feel proud of, that we become interactive with, and we understand we're creating this living, breathing, dynamic, organic thing called life. Not just the pulsations of me, the pulsations it brings to all of humanity.